Hello and welcome to today's Trade Radiators video. Today we're going to look at the simple process of installing a column radiator on a wall in replacement for a normal radiator. We've got three lovely column radiators here now, and as you can see they've been very well packed, so we're just going to cut this a bit further open and get these out. Basically they've been delivered on a pallet, as you can see here. It's a pretty good idea. They put this triangle on top to stop people stacking stuff on top of your radiators and bending up the columns, so that's a good thing. As you can see, there's no skimping when it comes to packaging these, so they get to you safely. So once we cut this away, you can see that this particular type of column radiator we've got here is a 2-column radiator. Now they come in lots and lots of different heights and widths, but also the depth of the radiator is something you want to think about when it comes to the amount of BTU or British thermal units that you want to go into the room. So obviously if you've got 2 columns just here, that's going to give out a different amount of BTU to one that say has got 3 or 4 columns. Now if you look at the other radiator here that we've got, you could be able to see that this one here is a 3-column radiator. Okay, so that's got 3 columns on it, therefore it's got more hot water inside it and it's got a bigger heat surface so it can transfer more heat into the air and heat up your room. Also on the pallet we have our wall brackets for the column radiators on here, and also our bag of air vents as well for the top of the radiators. And lastly, we have here the Mega Beast 4-column. So as you can see, it's got 4 columns going all the way across here. It's still a 500 high rad by the same width as the others, but because it's got 4 columns on it, it's going to give out a lot more heat and heat up your room a lot quicker. So let's have a look now at how we're actually going to remove an old radiator and fit one of these onto the wall in its place. So what we're going to do is remove this radiator off the back of the wall behind us. We're going to mark up and we're going to hang our new rad. What we're going to put on is the 3-column radiator, just to show you how easy they are to install, and then we're going to pipe it up with some new radiator valves on there. So I hope you enjoy watching us install this radiator. So we've already drained this system down, this radiator has already been vented. So the first thing I'm probably going to do is just pop this towel just down here and grab myself a pair of grips and slacken off the radiator nuts on there. And then we should be able to spring these 2 pipes out of the way and lift our radiator off. Now we can remove the old brackets and also remove the old valves. Now as you can see, we've got our old holes here. Now's the perfect time to fill these in and also to paint the wall, but I don't think we've got the match for this paint. So for the purposes of this video, to show you exactly how to hang one of these column radiators, it doesn't really matter. Right, so while that's dry now, I'm just going to cut off one of our bracket sets. So when you open up your brackets box, you'll have your 2 top bracket clips. These are the ones that take pretty much most of the weight. You'll have a bag of screws, you'll have some grommets and some other nuts as well, and also you've got your bottom clips as well to hold the radiator in position at the bottom. Also, to cover up your top brackets and make it look nice, you've got some shrouds for that as well. In the bottom you have some lovely instructions to follow to show you exactly how to use these. Right, so it's a good idea now to have a look and see actually how these brackets work. If you see, they slot in like that together and clamp through a hole at the back with one of our nuts and bolts, and then they slip down onto our wall plate that will be here like that to hold the radiator on the wall like so. So the first thing that I always do is I actually make up the brackets and clamps so they're actually on the radiator themselves. So you can watch us do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this round one of our columns, just like so around there, and then we're going to get our larger nut with an Allen key head. That's a 4mm Allen key there. Pop that through there with our nut and then tighten that up so it gets a good clamp on the column. And do that with the other one as well. The 2 plastic brackets will actually pop in and swing on at the end. We'll show you how to do them later. First we want to have a look into these 2 brackets here. We'll pop our grommets on our wall clips. This is to stop the radiator from clicking or making any noises when it's heating up or cooling down. And then pop our small locking screws in the top, ready for when we install in a minute. Before we carry on installing, it's a good idea to pop all your radiator bits and pieces on first. When I say that, I mean our air bungs and also our spigots for our radiator valves. So we're just going to remove these 2 bungs at the moment. As you can see, they come out very easily. In our small bag here, we've got our bleed. Now at this end, I want to put just a standard blanking cover on there. So that will just go in there and screw on very easily. There's no need for any PTFE because there's already a rubber bung on this. All that needs to do is just be nice and lightly tightened up. And at the other end, again, whip out the bungs. And at this end, I'm actually going to put our air bleed. Again, that's got a nice little rubber washer on it, so it doesn't need any PTFE. It just gets nice and lightly tightened in like that. So now we'll just pop this up on its end. And with a suitable thread sealant, pop the spigot in for our new valve. On this rad, I'm just going to put 2 lock shields on, but they're quite happy taking TRVs as well, just like any radiator. So for the next bit, you're going to need to have a tape measure, a pencil, and also a spirit level. Now, I always find the best way to start is to find out what height you want the radiator, especially if you know you've got enough room of wall to go on, and then you can get an idea of how far you want the top of the radiator to be from the bottom of your bracket. So what I do is just mock up one of these now, like I have, and then just pop my eye line along the top of the rad, and then look for the bottom of the bracket there. Now that is 115 mil. So I know now that I want the top of my radiator to end at just about here. So that's probably about 30 mil. 115 mil plus 30 mil is 145 mil. Then I know I can measure from here 145 down, and I know that's where the bottom of my brackets are going to be. So that's going to be the first mark I do. So we're going to measure down 145. It's just here, just like that, and then we know that's the bottom of where our brackets are going to be. The next thing I want to determine is actually where the centre of the radiator is going to be. Now, every install is completely different, and often what you'll want to do is keep the radiator underneath the centre of the window, or keep it central between a wall or something like that. Here what we're going to do, because we don't want to get rid of this toilet roll holder, we're going to go on this pipe here, okay? So we now know that our radiator will have to be measured out from this side and across, okay? Now, it's quite easy to do, it's not really that difficult, and I'll show you how to do that now. I know that this side of the rad, okay, this is the top of our radiator, and this is actually going to be the right-hand side of our radiator, so the pipe that we're going to be going on will be coming up here, kind of. So what we do is we actually pop on our valve and mock that up so we know exactly where that's going to be. We know that the centre of our bracket is going to be down the centre line of this column here. So all you need to do is measure across from the centre of the pipe to the centre of the column, and that looks to me to be 121 millimetres. So now we know we can measure across from the centre of that pipe 121 millimetres, and we know we've got the centre of our first bracket. Now we can get our spirit level and draw a line across here from our top line that we did a minute ago. Just draw a line across there, like so. So now that we've got our bottom line for our brackets here, all we need to do is get our spirit level and run that up just here, and then we know exactly where to put our first bracket. So now we've got our first cross on the wall, we know that we can just pop our bracket down here like this, make sure that's central on this line here, and that the bottom of our bracket is central there. Just draw a hole here and draw a hole there. So there's our first bracket marked up. But now we already know what our line across the top is going to be. It's going to be the same on our other bracket because we want the radiator to be level. So all we need to do to get the centre of our other bracket is to measure across from the centre of this bracket here to the centre there, and that comes out at... So now I can measure across from here 418. That's exactly there like that. And I know exactly then the centre of that bracket. Again, use a spirit level just to get your level right. Then you've definitely got a mark here now. You've got your bottom mark here. So you can mark that hole there and this hole here. Before we continue though, I'm just going to cut these 2 bits of pipe off here so we've got enough room to work with. Now, making sure we've got the right size drill bits for our plugs. Our top bit's going to have these larger plugs here. You just want to look on the side and see which size you need, or if you're not comfortable with choosing like that, just get yourself the right size bit and marry it up to it to make sure. You should see that they fit in nice and neatly. They just need a little tap in with a hammer, and then we're ready to screw our brackets to the wall. So what we're going to do now is get an adjustable spanner and wind these up nice and tight, because these are just going to sit down and go on these just like that. And then our lock-in bolt on top will lock them down. Needs to be nice and tight. Just a little bit more. There we go, that's perfect. And do the same to the other side. Once you've got both of these on, it's a good time now just to rest your spirit level on there and make sure your bubble's in the middle. Once you're happy there in the middle, you can stop them from coming off just by tightening that up slightly on top of that nut just there. Just like that, and then that will stop this from moving about. Now, before we go any further, we need to figure out where we're going to put our bottom brackets. Now, usually I put them down about 5 or 6 inches below the 2 top brackets. All we need to do is get our spirit level and elongate these lines down here, and then bring our spirit level across, and then we'll have our centres for our bottom bracket holes. So just watch me do that now. Now we know exactly where we're going to drill our holes for our bottom brackets. As you can see, if you look at these closely, they'll slot in to where you want to go, okay? Just tighten them up to the point where they'll just bite them a little bit. Look closely now, you should be able to just slot this in. So that's a bit too tight like that. Just want to slacken that off a little. And then make sure that just goes in nice and tight and firm. So that's perfect. So now we're ready to actually hang our radiator on the wall. I'm just going to pop these 2 out of the way. And we just pop on our clips like this. As you see, they're sort of set at an angle. And then we can bring down our clip to where it needs to be and swing that in. Sometimes you'll need little screwdrivers just to lever them over. There we go, that radiator is now hung on the wall nice and successfully. I'm just going to pop my spirit level across it, just to make sure it's nice and level. How about that, lovely. So now we've got our radiator nicely on the wall, it's nice and firm, it's properly fixed. We've popped our spirit level on, we know it's level. We've got our shrouds on our clips here. Now all that's left for us to do is a small amount of pipe work and we're done. As you can see, our pipe marries up perfectly to the one that we had on there earlier on that we measured to, so we're successful there. If you look through here, you'll be able to see that our clips are on nicely there. And we've got our clips on the top here nicely with the lovely covers on them to make them look nice and good. So firstly, I'm just going to pipe up this side of the radiator here. So that now looks like that with a nice little drain off on it. And then we're just going to pipe this little bit up with 2 elbows so it looks like that. Lovely. So there we go, you've seen how easy it is to mark up and hang one of these on the wall. We've piped it up and it looks absolutely lovely. We've filled it up with water now and vented it all. We've inhibited the heating system and we've finished the whole job off now. And it looks really, really nice. I'm really pleased with this installation. If you need any more help or any more information, please visit our website at Trade Radiators. And as ever, thanks very much for watching this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.